Welcome back to 123 Kimchi. November is the Kimjang month in Korea, a time when kimchi cabbages are at their best and when families prepare the most delicious baechu kimchi or cabbage kimchi of the year. Kimjang is a Korean tradition of making and sharing large batches of kimchi for the whole winter. It does take a lot of work and care because families usually prepare 20 heads of cabbages or even more for the season. Today, I'm going to show you how to make a small batch kimjang with just 2 heads of cabbages. It does take a little more care than regular kimchi, but I made the process simpler and perfect for home kitchens. We'll also prepare a kimchi base using autumn squash. It's going to give the kimchi a refreshing, clean depth to it. So let's make a small batch kimjang so you can enjoy it right at home. To start, let's brine the cabbage. Cut each cabbage halfway through the root, then gently pull it apart. Make a small slit at the base so the brine can move through all the layers. Dissolve coarsely salt in water and wet each cabbage thoroughly. This helps soften the outer leaves and prepare them for salting. Then sprinkle the remaining half cup of salt between the leaves, especially the thicker stems. This half cup is for all 4 halves, so distribute it carefully. Place the cabbage cut side up so it can hold some of the salty water. Stack the cabbages crosswise so the thicker stems are covered by the leafy parts and vice versa. It helps everything brine more evenly. Press with a weight and brine for 5 to 6 hours, flipping every 1 to 2 hours. Over time, you'll see the cabbage release more water and start to soften. So how do you know when it's ready? Just check if the thick stems can bend easily without breaking. Then rinse the cabbages through 3 times under running water, changing the water each time. Hold each piece by its lower stem and shake gently in the water to remove excess salt. Drain the cabbages cut side down for about 30 minutes. While the cabbage is brining, let's make the kimchi base. We're using dried mushrooms, dried kelp seaweed, and butternut squash to create a savory and balanced foundation. In a pot, add water, butternut squash, dried pyogo or shiitake mushroom, and 1 piece of dried kelp or kombu. Bring it to a boil and once boiling, remove the kelp, then simmer over low heat. When the squash becomes soft enough to mash, remove the mushroom and mash the squash directly into the base. In a separate bowl, whisk 1 tablespoon of flour with a half cup of water. Pour it into the pot and bring it back to a boil, then simmer over low heat and cook briefly until lightly thickened. Let it cool completely before using it for a kimchi paste. Now let's prepare the vegetables. In Korea, we use Korean radish, which is crunchy and sweet, but it can be hard to find outside of Korea. So I'm using kohlrabi for the stuffing because it stays crisp, and cutting daikon into larger half moons that can almost act as a separate little kimchi on their own. They also add a refreshing depth to the kimchi. Peel the kohlrabi and cut it into thin matchsticks. A mandolin or julienne slicer works great too. For the daikon, peel and cut it into 1-inch rounds, then cut them into half-moon shapes. Slice the green onions thinly, then cut the onion into chunks and add it to a blender. I'm adding a spoonful of the cooled base to help it blend smoothly. Blend the onion until fine. Then lightly crush the garlic and slice the ginger and add them to the blender. Pulse just until minced and don't blend them into a puree because that can sometimes bring bitterness to your kimchi. In the cooled squash base, add half of the gochugaru, Korean red chili powder, and let it bloom. And remember, you can always adjust gochugaru to your preference. Add less if you want a milder kimchi, or choose a mild gochugaru for a gentle flavor. In a separate large bowl, combine the kohlrabi matchsticks and the remaining gochugaru and toss lightly. This helps the kohlrabi absorb the color first. Add the green onion, blended aromatics, squash base, 새우젓 or Korean salted shrimp, and fish sauce. For the vegan version, check the recipe link in the description. I explained 새우젓 or salted shrimp in another video, but if you're making kimchi often, then I really recommend keeping a jar in your freezer. It really adds deep, clean flavor and isn't fishy at all. Mix everything together. This becomes a balanced kimchi paste packed with natural sweetness and savoriness. Now bring 1 piece of cabbage to the bowl. And starting from the larger leaves, spread 1 layer of leaves. Then smear the seasoning on the leaves, focusing on the stem part. Then leave some of the stuffing in its thicker stems so the flavors penetrate into them. Bring the next layer and repeat the process. Keep repeating until you're finished with the last layer of smaller leaves. Once you're done with one piece, make sure all parts are nicely coated with the paste and put it into a container. You should place your kimchi inside facing up so it can hold the juice as it ferments. And tuck the daikon half moons between the cabbage for extra crunch and a refreshing broth as it ferments. Now, repeat the process for the rest. Remember to distribute the paste evenly so you don't run short or have too much of them left at the end. If you're not sure, it always helps to divide the paste into 4 equal parts before you start assembling. I like to store kimchi in multiple smaller containers so they stay fresher for longer. Here, I'm placing 1 cabbage per container. For the top portion, I flip it upside down so the larger outer leaves can protect the rest of the kimchi. These bigger leaves are less likely to soften or change during fermentation, so they keep the kimchi well covered even without a fermentation weight. To finish, swirl half cup of water with a bit of salt in the mixing bowl to catch any remaining seasoning and pour it over the kimchi. Place a fermentation weight on top to keep everything submerged. To kickstart the fermentation, let the kimchi sit at room temperature for 1 to 2 days depending on how cool your kitchen is. My place is quite cool these days, so I'll leave it for about 2 days. After a day, you'll see that more juice has been released by the vegetables. And by the next day, when you see tiny bubbles and a light tangy aroma, it's time to move it to the fridge. It'll continue to ferment at low temperatures. It tastes bright and fresh from day 1 to day 5 and starts to deepen from day 7 onward. But for the full experience, try it after a couple of weeks. This kimchi has been fermenting for 3 weeks, so let's give it a try. It's fully fermented now at its peak stage. Tangy, lightly fizzy, and the cabbage is still so light and crisp. And the radish? So crunchy, so juicy, it's perfect. Try it over a warm bowl of rice or enjoy it with any dishes you like. And if it goes too sour, use it in delicious dishes like kimchi jjigae, kimchi stew, or even fried rice. There are so many dishes you can cook kimchi with. Kimjang is meant to stay through the winter, so I hope you try it at different stages. After 2 weeks, 1 month, after 2 months, it's fascinating to see how the flavors develop. Try it and let me know how you liked it because I love seeing your reactions. And as always, thank you for watching and happy kimchi making!